It's day 39 of recovering from my Achilles rupture, and I found a stupidly obvious way to weigh myself without having to risk balancing on the bad leg. The most important update that's happened this week so far is definitely that I've now been given some ankle movement. I've got about 15 degrees of flexion, so there's a mechanism at the back. They've loosened off, and that gives me the ability to actually now flex my foot. At first, it was a little bit painful, but it's really nice now to be able to just sit and be able to just flex my toes, flex the foot just a little bit at a time, get a little bit of movement going on. It's definitely making me feel a bit better about the muscle atrophy situation. And it feels better just to let the ankle, especially the ankle joint, just move and get some of those secretion of fluids into the ankle to help lubricate it, just get it moving again. That's a very nice feeling. A bit of an update on how things are looking so far. My warm-ups are beginning to now look like they originally did before the Achilles got ruptured. Now there are still some variants, especially things like the squats. They don't look the same, but the upper body warm-ups, I'm now confident enough to do things, for example, banded pull-ups to help warm up the pull-up aspect with the boot on now. I'm not as worried about dropping to the floor. I can now do things like go upstairs and whatnot unsupported, and it's nice to have that confidence to be able to do not risky exercises, but risky if I were to drop from a height and down, so things like dips, pull-ups. I can do things like press-ups in my warm-ups, planks in my warm-ups now. So that's getting better, and it's nice to see little bits of normality start to return. Having said that, before I got the movement in my leg, so I got that, movement in my leg, got the movement in my ankle. About 3 days before that, I was really pushing being weight-bearing on my leg, and I did overdo it. And now nothing's damaged, it was just very achy and very sore as the day wore on. So I knew I was going to be weight bearing this week, and I was against the rules weight bearing last week. And I just pushed that a little bit more, trying to get away with what I could, trying to find my limits. And indeed, I found my limit that day. I was walking around, trying to keep as much weight on my foot as I could to try and stimulate development, and it just ached and burned and hurt just a little bit more than I could perhaps get away with. So unfortunately that day, by the end of the day, was an instant so it was written off by the end of the day, but the next day eased off again and we're back to normal. Partly because there was a really hot day, and I opened up my boot to try and cool my leg down, and I compared my calf muscles, and the atrophy in the calf was visible, definitely visible to the naked eye. And that kind of scared me a little bit of, wow, I'm only been in the boot for a couple of weeks and there was that much muscle loss. Now, at the time, I was kind of a little bit shocked, thinking, oh no, I've only been 2 weeks in the boot. Actually, I've been 5 weeks immobilised by that point, so that kind of eased things off. However, I was eager to try and get more movement through the leg as much as I could, and I'm afraid I kind of swung the other way and overdid it a bit. Now, since then, I've found my limit, I've backed off a bit, and I've started doing more calf tensing during the day instead. So it was just whilst I was brushing my teeth. Now I'm a bit more confident that I can put more pressure on my foot. I'm starting to do it more often, just sitting down, eating dinner, brushing my teeth again both times, just trying to put pressure through the foot, and the atrophy isn't as bad. It's already begin to sort of slow down and come back. However, there still is a 2 centimeter difference in diameter between my left leg, which is the good leg, being 2 centimeters bigger than my right leg. Now, I was always going to lose muscle, and the plan was always to lose as little as possible. I just was a little bit shocked when I saw them side by side of just how much muscle had gone. And the feel is different as well. So when we press the calf muscle in the left leg, there's that springy texture to it. And the right leg, you'd press and there'd be a small dimple. So obviously that's the subcutaneous fat just pressing and not springing back again. So I'm afraid it did scare me a bit. Of course, at the time, put my professional head on, stuck with it, started to build up that muscle development again. Now, the exercises are evolving, or exercises available to me are evolving. Similar to what I said last week, is that my progress and recovery is going faster than expected, or faster than NHS think it should be going. And that means the exercise is constantly evolving. I'm not spending quite enough time to stay consistent with anything. So for example, now I'm weight bearing, I've decided to have a go at bodyweight squats. It's no more weight through the foot than just standing would be. That is a bit of a no-go at the minute, as unfortunately, when I squat, although I'm feeling a bit more even in height, I'll exaggerate for the purpose of the video, but there's definitely when I squat going up and down on one leg. And that day that I tried the squats, it was only 20 reps or so per set of bodyweight squats, but you can definitely, the left leg started to cramp, and the DOMs in the left leg the next couple of days was notable, should I say. So squats at the minute are still a bit too uneven for my liking to be able to do. However, things like good mornings, last week with the foot locked in the 30-degree flexion, they were definitely too unstable. Now I've got about 15 degrees of flexion. My heel, granted I have to put my good leg on a little bit of a platform, good mornings are now at a point where I feel actually I can do them. So that's a nice compound-ish exercise that I can do. So now I'm starting to develop the lower back a bit, hit the glutes, hit the hamstrings, rather than just trying to do hamstring curls, hitting the hamstrings only. That's my more preferred style of exercise, to try and do more compound work. So it's nice to get those back. I did try full side planks as well. That's good. There's a little bit of pressure through the heel, not through the heel, through the side of the ankle. However, nothing that I can't get away with for say 15, 20 reps. Side planks are now on the menu, which is good. Screen wipers are still a bit tricky. With the weight of the boot at such a long leverage, it's tricky, but it's doable. I think it's something I need to keep working on. We're in that interim of, I'm strong enough to do a few, but I'm not quite strong enough to do a good set yet. So I just need to keep practicing that and keep going to get the screen wipers on the menu as well. I did also try the ski erg as well, which is going to be a nice handy thing. It's going to start to bring in some of the intensity back for the HEMA training that I do. So normally I would just do some skipping beforehand. However, for obvious reasons, I can't skip at the moment. Yet the ski erg is offering a bit of a benefit, is offering a fill the gap option in the meantime. Now, I do have to put one leg on the platform and a bad leg off the platform, so I'm doing the ski erg slightly off to one side. However, it's getting my heart rate up and it's getting that CV development that's definitely lacking at the minute. It's just beginning to start hitting that back, starting to recover the CV element. Another good thing that I've started to do, as I kind of said in the warm-ups, was I've just dabbled in a few full body weight chin-ups and a few full body weight dips as well. Now, not because of what muscles they target, it's more because of the landing. I don't want to get to failure at chin-ups or dips where we're in the position and then just drop, or do a pull and then drop, because I know in the moment I'll automatically put both feet down to land, which isn't going to happen, or isn't going to be good for me. So I've just tried a few, definitely with quite a few reps in reserve to be able to control the final descent, to let the good leg go on the floor and then catch up with the bad leg. It's just nice to be able to have as an option, nice to know that I've now got enough control to start bringing them in to the workout program as well. I did quite surprise myself at the weekend as well. I went to my HEMA club, to Longsword for the first time since the ankle's gone. And I definitely went there with the intention of no sparring, absolutely none. We tried some drills, which was good, and eventually I got into a bit of coaching one of the newer people And I quite surprised myself in that showing him some of these drills, I was stepping around a lot more than I thought I would. Now, don't get me wrong, the sole of my foot burned for doing it. However, it's not my Achilles heel that burned. It's not my Achilles tendon. It's just that pain in the bottom of your foot that, say you've been wearing bad shoes all day, that pressure in the bottom of the foot, that burn that you get from anything. I think that is largely because this boot, you know, there's very, very slight cushioning in the bottom, but not a lot. And it's not like my barefoot shoes where there's no cushioning in them, but your feet can spread and move to absorb the impact and the weight of your body. This just doesn't. It holds your foot in one place. There's also no lateral give, whereas the ankle can deviate laterally slightly. In this boot, there is none. So that makes things a bit tricky as well. Again, quite happy to see that I was moving around a lot more. I am standing during HEMA training now, which is good, so it's going to allow me to get a bit more hip rotation. And now I've gone to sparring and done some steps, I'm going to be a little bit more confident to, in my training, start bringing some steps in as well, especially as now I'm full weight bearing. I'm allowed to start taking steps. I'm not going to be lunging around, but that's just going to be the next step, starting to get back to some level of normality, which is nice. Mace training is still, the flows are still off the table. There's just too much weight, too much steps, too deep a range of motion required. So I'm definitely still exploring the more traditional styles. Now I've had a bit of practice with the torso movement. I'm starting to play around with heavier mace. Now, granted, all I've got available in terms of mace is a 7 kilo is the heaviest I've got. Otherwise, it's onto my 16 kilo hammer. The 7 is nice to do, and it's good to get that extra bit of movement going. So trying some 10 and 2s, some more competitive style lifting. Again, also to hit the CV side of things, but also to start hitting some bit more weight development. And I'm glad that my foot could take that pressure of that 7 kilo swinging down and still be able to stay upright. So far, for what we could say is now just over a month overall, progress is coming. It is happening. It's annoyingly slow, especially for myself, especially for my profession as well. Annoyingly slow. It is coming though. I have to keep reminding myself of that every day is a little bit better. Every day I can walk a little bit further. One thing that is a little bit tempting to do is I'm still fighting the idea of driving. Now, I sat in the car and pressed the pedals, and I can do it. However, I've got to think about, should the Achilles go again whilst driving, say I have to do an emergency stop, that's just going to set me back all over again. And likewise, I don't think I'm covered in insurance to drive as well. Say, for example, I do press the brake, my Achilles snaps, and then I can't press the brake anymore. Am I going to stop fast enough in the event of an emergency? Therefore, I'm putting other road users at risk as well. It's incredibly annoying. I'm like to be an independent person, and I don't like relying on other people, but unfortunately at the moment I am having to rely on other people to get me to and from work. Simple things like getting a haircut. I would normally find a gap in between clients at work and go out. I can't. Simple things like that, I'm having to rely on other people, which is frustrating to me, very, very frustrating. However, there are good things. Progress is being made. I'm a bit more independent at home. I can make hot food, carry it through. And to actually eat now, I don't have to rely on my wife to do that. I can do cooking, cleaning, bits and bobs. Granted, all will be at a slower pace, but I can start helping out and be a bit more independent. And one little gem that I came across, which I don't know why I didn't think of it before, so I'm trying to weigh myself and watch what's happening. Now, when I stand up, there's too much balance on one leg and the scales won't settle. So it's giving me, I can get a rough figure, but it's a little bit inaccurate. The simple fix to that was kneel on it. I don't know why I didn't do that before. Kneel on the scales, make sure the feet are still pointed so they're off the floor, not behind with the toes on the floor. And that makes it much more stable. And the scales, the digital scales, will then settle on a number, which is now going to give me more accurate results, so I can start keeping a better eye on my body fluctuations and weight changes. So I'm a bit more confident that my rapid weight loss is now stable, at least, or I've got it under control. I can measure it, and now I can start to influence and start fighting back. I wish I'd have thought of that sooner, but there you go. Just trying to get things back to normality. The normal thing to do would be to stand on the scales. Now I'm kneeling. It works, it does the job. We'll see how next week goes. I imagine it's going to be much the same as this week. So I'm still locked into this 15 degrees of flexion for another fortnight yet. After that, they're going to give me 0 to 30 degrees of flexion. So my foot can actually now start going flat relative to my shin, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be nice. It's going to open up some more options. I think, if I remember off the top of my head, the sole of the boot will be changed a little bit. So then I can be a bit flatter and give me some more motion. Likewise, I think some of the other updates that are going to come in the next fortnight, I think, are that I can start to sleep without the boot on. So that would be the 8-week mark. And I think I can stop taking my blood thinning injections, which would be nice because they're not particularly pleasant. I'll have to double check close to the time, but I think I can stop taking them. Whilst we're on the subject, blood pooling is definitely not an issue anymore. I think partly because I can now move my leg. I can start to get that pump action going on. I'm not feeling it as a problem. Fitness is increasing as well. And the blood thinners are doing their, or hopefully doing their job as well. Right. Quick update over, and hopefully I will see you again next time. I may try and film a little bit of an ab workout to follow along, so it might not be a Achilles update next week, but hopefully I'll have something released next week, and then we'll do another update after that. I'll see you soon.